Good morning and welcome to the October 20th workshop session. And we're going to immediately get started here, and I'm going to ask Councilman Fowler to lead us in our invocation.
Would please stand. Let's bow our heads. Father, we come to you this morning with a humble heart, asking you to continue to protect this nation, protect all of those that need help, Father. Through you, all things are possible, we know. Father, we ask you to also guide us in making our decisions today. We ask you to continue to protect our troops that are overseas and those that are home as well and their families, Father. We ask you to continue to bless this council and bless this community and all the generous things they do. Father, we ask all these things in your most precious name. Amen.
If Mr. John Koloski will lead us in our pledge.
Certainly. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, guys. First item on our work plan is the 305 North New River Drive, which is the old police department, and our town manager is going to give us an update.
Good morning, Madam Mayor and Council and staff and members of the public. Just wanted to talk to you a little bit about 301 North New River. So on August 31st, the online auction closed for the old police department building. The reserve amount was set at $2 million. Excuse me. That's probably me. And the highest bid received was 1.5. Due to no bids being received at the reserve amount, the property remains with the town. Efforts are underway to continue to actively pursue the sale of the building and property that it sits on. Interest remains, and it is being requested that staff continue pursuit of the sale of the property with final resolution coming back to the council for consideration. Put together a list of revenues and expenses that I'll go through briefly from the building. Revenues are figured based on the 2 active leases within the building as well as the space in which Pivot Parking occupies. Expenses are generally listed as building maintenance costs, including HVAC, elevator maintenance, utilities, and other costs associated with its occupancy. So I'll go through some of these numbers real quick. So I had finance kind of pull the last 3 years of what the town has been expending on that building just in general maintenance. That average over the last 3 years is approximately $47,000. This last fiscal year, we do still have an open PO for TK Elevator. The expenses totaled $93,966, so that's that drives up that average. The revenues generated year to date, starting in May 23 through October, the total for that is approximately $5,600 with annual projections of approximately $18,000. So in comparison, $18,000 of revenue versus the last fiscal year expense of $93,966. As you can see, the building, is not self-sustaining by any means. It does provide an asset to the town to allow for pivot parking. However, as I continuously try to remind myself, the town had made a concerted effort to try and reduce risk and liability of having assets on the island. And I just think that we still need to pursue the sale of the property, including that building and the land underneath it. The adjacent property would still remain in the town. So that's my recommendation, that I continue to market the property for sale. Still have some feelers out with the auctioneers as they were directly involved with communicating with interested parties. The bid that was submitted for 1.5, that bidder had already bought some other property somewhere else. However, they do have a couple of leads that they're going to follow up on. So really just wanted to bring this to council's attention. I know we've been talking about this a little bit in the background in regards to what to do with it. And we're going to really make a push and try to get this taken off the books. And again, the way that the surplus property sale process works is that any bid that we do receive will still have to come back to this board for final approval. So you're not committing to anything at this time. And, you know, my hope would be to bring something to y'all, you know, in between that 1.5 and 2, if we can get it, if not even more than that. So that's why I bring to you, Madam Mayor and Board, and more than happy to answer any questions.
Anyone have any questions?
I say move forward, don't move backwards.
Okay, 10-4.
The plan is to move forward. You're contacting the auctioneer,
Yes,
and he's contacting the people that showed interest in it before, or potential clients that he may
yeah,
have.
that's correct. I had reached out to them and basically said, you know, look, you know, we'd be interested in continuing to pursuing this, even though we did not meet our reserve. So that sort of engaged them. And if I don't hear anything back from them in the next couple weeks, we will then take it upon ourselves to get this back marketed, you know, internally, and try to utilize our contacts to make sure that people know that it's available. So.
Thank you, Cal. I'm gonna call on Chief Phil Voorhees to come up and present us with a surplus resolution.
Good morning. The police department has a surplus vehicle, or well, a vehicle that we are trying to surplus that we aren't using to its capacity. It's maintenance heavy and needs extensive repair that's going to cost the police department a substantial amount of money to put it back on the road. We're asking at this point to surplus it and to sell it. It's been underutilized since we bought it, and I don't see an ongoing purpose for it. It's a 2006 ambulance-style vehicle that's just past its useful life at this point.
This is you're just requesting a consensus here? Everybody okay?
Yeah, for sure. Sell it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And if Miss Amy comes, town planner will come up. She's gonna do the final plat approval for Magnolia Reserve Phases 5 and 6.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So today I am requesting the final plat approval for phases 5 and 6 of the major subdivision known as Magnolia Reserve. This came before y'all years ago as a preliminary plat of 200 units with 3 phases. They have broken those phases up into smaller chunks as they have built it. So this is phases 5 and 6, which is towards the back part of Magnolia Reserve. On the overall map that you may see right now, there's a phase 7 that is shown. Just as a heads up, that will be coming to you in the near future for a preliminary plat review. The number of lots is not changing, but some of the layout is changing. So that's why that phase 7 is shown and kind of highlighted on that map. I pulled that map from that permit to help make it a little bit clearer as to where I was talking about today. But as you can see, 5 and 6 are labeled on that back, and this is just final plat review. We have reviewed it and do have a escrow account. They've set up an escrow account for the items that are remaining, which are sidewalk, that is installed as the house construction. The trees, there's an additional fire hydrant that has to be installed, and a couple of things for Mr. Price. So I'm asking that this go to consent agenda at the next meeting. Any questions?
You're asking for a consent to be approved for the next meeting.
Yes, I'm asking for consent to put it on the consent agenda.
Yes. We just need a consensus today.
I'm fine with it.
Fine.
All right, thank you, Amy. Also with Amy, she is going to deliver the community development fees.
So as y'all know, we updated our building department fees this past year in our revised budget. We had not done that since 2008, so they were a bit out of date. So we updated them, and then in July, I went through the process of updating that in the Viewpoint system. We also, when we originally started Viewpoint, we had one miscellaneous permit that kind of did everything, was a catch-all. For reporting purposes and whatnot, we have gone in and made individualized permits for different things. So I was pulling things from the renovation and from the new, but having the new standalone permits, it made more sense to call out certain things in the standalone permit so that it was more clear where we were getting our fees from. So you'll see additional or standalone permits. Anything that was added down there was already up top. It's just more clear so that when the public is looking at it, you can clearly see where it's coming from instead of having to pull it from that up top portion. And then the ABC review had fallen off, so I'm currently not charging that fee because it's not on the schedule, so I'm asking that that $75 fee be put back on the schedule. And then the majority of things in the far right column, we're just getting everything consistent and fixing any grammatical errors. So it looks like there's a lot of red on here, but a lot of it is just clarification. Like in some of the areas, we just said per square foot, but there is a difference when we're charging fees between total and heated square foot. So we went in and made sure that, that all of those were clearly labeled so people weren't guessing what we were doing. So I'm asking that you approve the revised community development fee schedule.
Also, just a consensus? Yes. Good?
Question.
Yes.
You said we hadn't revised them since 2008.
From 2008 until this past year, we had not raised them. So in the budget that we just passed, we raised them, which is why I then went into Viewpoint and started looking at how everything was set up in there, because we hadn't changed the fees. And Patty had set it up back in 2019. So having to go in and change the fees, I went in there and I felt like there was a more clear way to show our fees, so that's what I'm requesting. But they were updated, almost doubled, this past year.
The reason I asked that question, I thought that if we don't, we should have some kind of procedure in place to do this in a fixed number of years, like say 3 years or 4 years. They'll go ahead and review and change all these and make a recommendation so that everything's not hit at one time.
And that is the plan, is to look at them about every 3 years, look at our surrounding. We do have a new building inspector, so I have asked that he look at them this year as well, just to make sure that there's not something maybe that we're missing or whatnot. A fresh set of eyes is always a good set of eyes. So I've asked him just to kind of review and look over them. So there may be some minor tweaks this year, but my intent is to do planning and zoning 1 year, and then building inspections the next year, and do it on about a 3-year cycle.
Make that part of it. I'm fine with the consensus.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Zoning interpretation appeal, would that be a citation for something that somebody did as a?
Zoning interpretation appeal is when you come to the Board of Adjustment because you don't like the decision or you don't agree with the decision that we made. So at the Board of Adjustment, there are 2 different things. There's the request for a variance and there's the zoning interpretation appeal.
If Scott gives somebody a citation for something that was incorrect, correct? So let me ask you a question, and I'm just curious. If somebody appeals something, they pay $300 and appeal it, and they win, why wouldn't they get their $300 back? It's just a quick question. Does it make sense to you? Because that means they weren't guilty.
It's the way, you're going to love this answer. It's the way we've always done it and everybody else does it. I don't necessarily disagree with you. It's definitely something I can look into. Kyle, do you have?
Well, I mean, excuse me, we incur the administrative costs with it, and by good faith, that zoning officer is carrying out the law of the ordinance, and that's no excuse, but I understand, and we still have to advertise a case and all that
But
stuff.
if he's found not guilty, if it was wrongfully given, then he shouldn't have to pay that price. That's just the right thing, is my thought. I'm just saying is, You know, because if somebody has to pay $300, they're like, this is a BS thing. They got to come in and spend $300 to fight it, and it was never wrong from the get-go.
Sometimes, though, the Board of Adjustment doesn't necessarily feel that it's wrong. They feel that maybe it wasn't,
Okay.
that the ordinance isn't. So it's not always a clear-cut decision that the officer or zoning official or whatnot was wrong, as much as sometimes it's just, okay, we feel your pain and we're willing to work with you because there's 5 individuals up there who are regular people.
Roger.
I got to follow up on that, and it's an assumption on my part. Let's say the same scenario, and like I said, this is an assumption on my part. Family, whoever's building, they get a misinterpretation. Is there a phase in between you've been declined to you got to pay $300 where they are allowed to sit down with someone and look at alternatives and say, this is why it's been ruled this way? Is there like a staff review with those people before we get to this level?
So like, for instance, we had a set of steps recently that went to Board of Adjustment for variance. So we talked to them about all the different options. For that particular steps, there was a set. From an engineering and building standpoint, there was an alternative that would have worked. From an aesthetic, and I bought my house with this picture of this is what it's going to look like, there was not an alternative. So that was where the Board of Adjustment steps in and says, okay, we understand you spent all this time and resources. You did your best faith effort by hiring a surveyor who showed everything fit in there. Town reviewed it, everything fit in there, and it doesn't. So we're going to allow you this variance. But we did, I met out there with them. I think fire department met out there with them. The building inspector talked to them. So we typically look for any alternative to a variance prior to saying hard no. We try to be creative, and the ordinance is what it is. I can't do outside of it, but we try to think of creative solutions to allow the person to get what they want while staying within our ordinances.
And I felt like they were, like I said, I was making that something else where the one reason I brought that up is that's a scenario where they weren't not wrong, they weren't not right. They were wrong, and there was no doubt they were wrong. They were begging forgiveness to come up with an alternative,
Right,
so,
right,
you know what I'm saying?
absolutely,
So
yeah.
it just isn't always that black and white.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Just because there are going to be minutes of this, I just want to clarify, it wasn't just an aesthetic issue, it was a ingress and egress safety issue. And as Ms. Kimes just pointed out, they did rely on a survey, and we did issue permits. And ironically, there's a case from, I think it's 2016, maybe 06, arising out of the town of Surf City, where the appellate court said good faith reliance on a third-party survey or the issuance of permits is grounds for an unnecessary hardship for purposes of granting a variance. So, and that was a very unique situation. I don't think there was any evidence anyone intentionally tried to evade the rules.
No, there was no intentional on the particular case we're talking about, and that we've had that come up a few times lately. So that is something that from the upfront we're going to be looking at a little bit more. Is just maybe asking if the stairs look short on the drawing, asking that you verified that that's actually the height, or, that it's that is the length that they're going to be for the height that you're building your house at.
We tried everything we could on that one. Taking something to the Board of Adjustment truly is last ditch.
Yeah, I don't like going to Board of Adjustment. It's no fun.
I agree with the consensus moving forward.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
All right, thank you, but don't go away yet. I know we're going to move on to number 5, Board of Adjustment appointment, and Carla's going to speak, but if you would just stay there in case anyone has any questions.
We have several applications for Board of Adjustment that have come in. We do have 2 possible openings for alternates. So if council wanted to fill that, the applications are in front of you.
Who's our liaison to that?
Alternates or not 2 alternates?
I don't think there's a liaison for it.
Planning Department.
It's Hugh, it's Mr. Cannady and Mr. Koloski.
Are there 2 alternate positions or 1?
2.
You can fill up to 2.
Okay. At the last meeting, there's been a couple meetings that we've gone to where Well, the one we're talking about right now, we didn't have a full board. It was five. The board is a 5-member board. We had 4. Not that they couldn't function as a board, but it put it in a situation where you had to have a unanimous vote rather than
It'd have a
4
4/5.
out of 5 votes.
Right,
So,
right. For variances, it's a 4/5. So if you only have 4 people, we generally give the applicant the option of moving forward with the understanding they have to have a unanimous 4 out of 4 vote, or to continue it until we have a 5-member board.
And we knew that was going to happen because we tried to fill that a couple months ago, and we didn't want to move forward on that. So we knew that we were going to get in that situation.
Yes. So in October, we had a last minute, something came up last minute, and we were moving forward. So we ended up postponing one. Wait a second. In September, last minute we had someone cancel, so we ended up postponing one to October, and then moving forward with the one that we've discussed today. And then in October, I was not able to get the date that we have it scheduled. Had another conflict, so I was not able to get a consensus from the group on another date that would work. So we moved the September one forward to November. The October one that was supposed to be heard in October has also been moved towards to November. So we weren't able to have an October meeting. It would be helpful if we had that one extra person. To me, Board of Adjustment's one of the harder ones to get everybody here for, because we only have this meeting 2 or 3 times a year. So it's harder for people, I guess, to kind of block out that schedule, because in the back of their minds, they're like, oh, we're not going to have it. We never have it.
I know 2 of these applicants are not interested in this board. I could not get a hold of the one applicant to have him send an email, so I know there's 2 that are not interested in this board currently at this time. So I couldn't get a hold of the one. The mayor asked me to have that person send an email to Carla, and I think he was traveling business-wise, so I couldn't get that done. But I know there's 2 of those are not.
And one you stated was Jim Conway.
Mr. Conway has no interest.
Wanted to be removed.
Yeah, he wanted to not be on that, yep, 100%. And
what's the process? Do we do a vote sheet or we do a motion? What do we do?
We could have consent and it go to the consent agenda if everyone agrees, or you can appoint now.
When is your next meeting? When do you need a member?
Shirley.
The middle of November is my next meeting. I believe it's it's after the next council meeting. So if a recommendation was made today, I could at least let that person know that, so that they can go ahead and schedule. But it does not have to be voted on today.
If it's in the middle of November, then actually we could have tabled this until our next meeting in November, and you still had a chance to do that. True?
Yes, sir, but it would put a limited amount of time if that person had not already scheduled for that BOA meeting. And I will have to have already advertised the meeting.
Can I make a motion that we appoint Hemphill and Popolowski to those 2 positions?
Second that.
Again, this is for alternate position, or is this for the main board position? Alternates? Okay.
They are both alternates.
Both alternates are currently vacant. One alternate would be helpful, would be better than no alternates if you're not comfortable. But if you're not comfortable with the people, we'll do our best.
I'm comfortable with the 2 that I named, solely comfortable.
Well, I'm sorry, if you're not comfortable moving ahead, we'll do our best.
I don't think we have to keep kicking the
Schedule it.
can down the road. We already did that 2 months ago, so might as well just appoint those 2.
I was liaisons for that committee field.
I think that'd be appropriate. Yep.
Then I second that motion.
I think it'd be fine.
Any further discussion? So we're going to we have taken a vote, and A.J. Hempfield.
Did it pass? Everybody said yes.
Everybody said yes.
Yes.
A.J. Hempfield and Terry Pulaski. Popolowski.
Yes.
Will be appointed to the Board of Adjustment.
It was one motion for both positions, so unanimous on the motion. Okay. All right. You got that, Amy? We good?
I got it. Carla, you'll get me the information, and we'll reach out to them and hopefully have everybody in attendance in November. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, if Miss Jody Shepherd would come forward, and she's going to deliver a budget ordinance amendment for the Parks and Recreation playground equipment. And this will require a vote.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, so in front of you this morning, you have an amendment for the general fund revenue and expenditures for the account of revenue that was received from insurance proceeds for the playground at Soundside Park on July 20th of 2023. We had a small storm with some wind that tore down the top of the playground area, so we removed those poles and those sails and got all the pictures and everything sent over to the insurance adjuster, and they approved that, and those funds came in this week. So I'm asking to be able to move those funds into the proper line so we can get that on the schedule and fixed.
I make a motion to approve it as presented.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we're going to move down to Kyle for a governmental update.
We're gonna, so we do this quarterly, just an update from all departments. So I will go through this briefly, so everybody knows what is happening. So we'll start with administration. This goes alphabetical, not by any favoritism. But we are currently actively recruiting for emergency management director, as you know. South Shore Stormwater Project, so we're waiting on the executed contract back from Sunland Builders. We will schedule a pre-construction meeting with them and NCDOT once we get that back. DOT is coordinating their work along the right-of-way. Lane closures will begin on Monday and will be intermittent for the next month or so. A code red is scheduled to go out at today. Price is working with DOT on a lot of the coordination with the construction right now. With that project, I've gotten the opportunity to present at the North Carolina Beach Inlet Waterway Association Conference next month, alongside the project engineer from WK Dixon and a representative from NCDOT. That conference is November 16th and 17th down in Wilmington, which will require our attendance, which includes myself and the mayor. So just as a heads up for the board, working with the clerk, that 17th is our regularly scheduled work session. So that meeting may need to be moved over to the following week, preferably as early as we can in that week, because it is the Thanksgiving holiday. So we will confirm some of that, but I just wanted to kind of put that on everybody's radar for upcoming November work session. Met with Chief Wilson, Price, Chris Carter, and Jody on facilitating discussions and development of a request for qualification to hire a consultant to look at the facility needs at Station 25, the Community Center, and Station 2. If you recall, we budgeted funds to hire an architect or engineer to put together some plans so we can get some cost estimates and start our capital improvement process for that. The preliminary audit was submitted to the town yesterday. Finance and I are reviewing and will be submitting comments so that it can be turned into the local government commission. Again, this is a preliminary audit. However, everything in that audit, from what I could see, looked good. There's no findings. Management side of the fiscal steward of the town's funds is all there. So we'll look forward to, once LGC accepts that and approves our audit, a presentation from the auditor back to the board. Also, too, this is the last year for our audit contract, so we will put that out for those professional services to see what we may be able to get back in regards to audit pricing. But this is a very important process as part of our budgeting, and just making sure that all the finances are in order. Community development, they've got 15 projects in various phases of TRC, Planning Board, and Council. I've got a chart on the next slide that will go over those. The zoning ordinance updated. I know Ms. Kimes sent an update to the Planning Board and Council liaisons for the project. So they're doing the assessments of the current ordinance structure, making the recommendations for moving things around. And then, we need to get this sort of foundational process in place before we start looking at actual regulation changes. So please be involved with that if you can and you have the time, because that, the comprehensive plan is good to set the policy. The ordinance is what enacts the policy. So a lot of times, certainly in my experience, is that you have policy that's driving the change, and then somebody is surprised with the potential change. So again, it's good to be a part of this throughout that process, so that we don't have any hiccups when we go to present the ordinance updates and recommend adoption for those. Staff is continuing working on the right-of-way project. So enforcement will begin in Zone 1 in the next couple of weeks. Code enforcement has begun making a list of sites that are not in compliance. I will add that staff met with the CAC a couple of weeks ago to kind of go over this, as well as parking citations, to get them prepared and get them a better understanding of the policy in which we are working off of. And should they hear any cases, they'll be ready for those. East Coast Greenway feasibility study, so that was presented to you back in May. I believe Amy is going to take that back to you all for official adoption for it. So just going to put that on your radar. A lot of DOT projects and coordination going on with these. So you have the R5900 or H174005. That's the quadrant road system between 50 and 210 to provide that parallel roadway to alleviate congestion on 50. So that's going to take a lot of coordination between DOT, between development, and certainly the town. So there's sort of a timeline on that. Current right-of-way date is May 15th, 2025, and then the let date for construction anticipated October 19th, 2027. That project could be accelerated based on development, and as you all know, when development does occur and these facilities are shown, we do require them to build those assets. So the infrastructure could come before that, but it will take a lot of coordination. The R5899 Watts Landing intersection, right-of-way date is October of 2024, and then let date again in 27. They've already been surveying out there, did utility locates, so that project is moving along. The Surf City Topsail Beach multi-use path feasibility study, that is still in the project development process, but that project will connect the Surf City Bridge all the way down to Trout Avenue in Topsail Beach along South Shore Drive. So that's a big project, and I kind of starred this for y'all, but I've asked community development to put together a GIS site to identify the various DOT projects throughout our community, because there's a lot going on, and I think it's important for people to be able to see those projects and understand that there are improvements coming. DOT generally works, they're great partners, but projects get funded on a reactionary basis. So it'll be good to be able to track that, and we'll provide updates as we get them from the department. This is your project status update. The items in white are in the TRC process. The items in purple are projects coming to council, and then the light blue, which I don't see any, maybe the colors got mixed up, but are going to planning board. So this does get represented every 2 weeks within the governmental update, but it's a good way to just track where these projects are in the process. So emergency management, James continues to work on the fixed camera system at Soundside Park. That's actually where him and Jason are at this morning. That'll put multiple cameras up on the light poles that Jones Onslow just installed. So increasing our awareness out of the park. We regularly have issues that go on out there, minor vandalism, but overall just for our general safety. We continue to get delays on the 700 megahertz radio system, generally from the vendors that we're dealing with. But that project is moving forward, and then James is working on the Surf City Live 2023 emergency action plans for that event. And as a reminder, for any event that we do, emergency management's involvement with that is making sure that everybody's on the same page. Emergency plans are in place and responsibilities are understood from every entity, not just police and fire. So the generator's been installed and is operational at the radio site. That's off of 50 near our mainland lift station. And then the radio module, weather radio module installed and programmed to 1670 AM. So if anybody wants to check that out, right now it's on a continuous NOAA weather radio loop, but that's just another communication asset that the town has available should people have access to AM radio. So continuing projects, oh, that's a duplicate, sorry. Facilities and grounds, weren't able to get a report, but obviously Chris is out working. I'll just update real quick. The asphalt plants closed because of weather and production. A message will go back out to Pleasant Cove today, just letting them know that the delay has occurred, but we do anticipate crews being on site Monday to get that portion of the project completed. That won't take but a day and a half to get done. Finance, property tax bills have been mailed to the addresses on file. Again, we receive the tax files from the tax assessor's office in Pender County. What we have found this year and seems to be consistent is that the data that they're providing us is outdated or incorrect. So we send out all these tax bills, good faith effort from the information we get from the county, and then end up getting a stack of return tax bills. So I'm going to work with Melissa to get a meeting set up with the county to try and rectify whatever issues they have. But it's very frustrating on our end, and of course our residents who may not get their tax bill on time, or it may be delayed because the initial address that was provided by the county is incorrect. So we'll continue to work on that. Or a Sheets program, that's basically any sort of outstanding checks that the Surf City has issued to individuals, maybe a tax refund or whatever it might be. We have to follow up on that and then report those back to the state. They'll end up going onto nccash.com. So if you feel like you were due any sort of money by the town, you can always go there to claim whatever check that didn't make it to you. So please visit that if you feel like you've got some things that are due. Accounts payable, 257 checks generated in the last month. 15 personnel changes that they have to adjust in payroll, and then 456 purchase orders generated. And again, I'll just use this time. The purchase orders is a checks and balances process for any expenditure that the town makes that's $500 or more. Requires that to go through the finance department to make sure that simply the funds are available in that account to be able to pay for what you're trying to purchase. So purchase orders are a big part of the entire town's procurement process. So fire department, we were supposed to do the live burn this morning. So there are some situations that had come up that required the fire department to unfortunately cancel that. That's a big training opportunity that I know they are looking forward to. Old engine 25, so that truck has been completed and is the official reserve apparatus, and that's stationed over at 23. Boat lift, the demo of that is completed, so they're waiting on the CAMA permit to start the reconstruction of that. So we look forward to seeing that come up. The beach condition flag expansion project, they have been able to secure the commitment from the Helbig Foundation. The chief is presented this to council last month and is moving forward with working out the details. we'll work on an MOU to get that in place. 23 kitchen remodel, Chief is starting to work on that project. The hydraulic rescue tool replacement, so they got those this week or last week, very recently. So they'll be installing those into the trucks, and then of course training on them. And so we're excited about that. That was a capital project that budgeted for this year. Here's a picture of those tools in the truck, and then this is the old engine that is our primary reserve. So looking good over there. Human resources continue to work on the recruitment and retention committee. So we've somewhat gotten through draft process of the hiring efficiency process, where we're breaking down that internal process of when we have a position open, how we're advertising it, what our communication looks like with a potential applicant, and getting them on board as quickly as possible. It's local government is always a step behind in recruiting and hiring talent. So we're looking at every potential option that we can to be at least ahead of our local government competition, and we certainly want to be the best in the immediate market in doing that. HR continues to work with emergency management on the risk management program. We're also working with Civic Credit Union to set up financial health classes for employees. This kind of falls into some of those retention strategies that we've been talking about. Helping people understand that a career in Surf City can be fulfilling, not just from a professional standpoint, but from a financial standpoint, if you're doing the right things over the duration of your career. So Civic Credit Union's been a great partner to assist with this, and providing that commitment. We've got really a direct contact with their regional manager, as well as the CEO of the organization, and he's been extremely responsive and committed to Surf City in trying to help us with some of the financial health for employees and other benefits that they can provide our local government employees. Ongoing reviewing personnel handbook, job descriptions, and making those edits whenever we do have changes. The committee report, EAC, we held our annual employee appreciation on September 22nd and gave out a bunch of service awards and had a good time over at the Welcome Center, albeit it was kind of cut short because of the impending storm at that time. So IT, building new PC for the GIS specialist position, continues to work on our assets. The laptop order that was placed got lost in shipment, which included the replacement laptops for council. So we apologize for that, and once we do find those and get them here, we'll let you know. Again, the surveillance projects that we continuously work on, new cameras and recording equipment installed at the water plant, public utilities, wastewater plant, and community center, and then again, the Soundside Park surveillance project that they're working on right now. Parks, Recreation, Tourism, generally, October 31st is our big date that we are waiting on. That is our bid submissions for the Earl G. and Inez Batts Recreation Complex. We held a pre-bid meeting, and Jody's been in contact with some of those contractors to look at the site, do some basic soil sampling for compaction, et cetera. So we're excited to hopefully get a good bids submitted back to the town, so that we can award contracts and move forward with that highly anticipated project. Brad Slidecki with Pillar was here, and he continues to work with the skate park design team. They've been providing their input onto what was presented, and we look forward to seeing a final concept so that we can move forward with that. Continue with special event meetings, Surf City Live pre-event meetings, which that event is coming up. The surveillance project, they were meeting with the Onslow County Museum Director for the Surf City's 75th anniversary coming up. So looking at having interactive exhibits for our residents and visitors that, you know, have some level of nostalgia to Surf City to come and celebrate with us next year for our 75th anniversary. They took part in a career day at Dixon Middle School. I don't know if you guys got any recruits out of that, but hopefully just driving some interest. And this is, again, part of our recruitment plan, not necessarily middle school, but having partners in our local high schools and community colleges for positions within the town, and letting them know, you know, sort of what opportunities are out there. And I'll give you a quick example if you'll bear with me on this. But you know, one thing we talk about in this committee is you know, what is a collections and distribution maintenance technician 1? You know, what does this person do? How can we break these terms down in our recruitment efforts to highlight some of the benefits that this position provides to, you know, the healthy water, drinking water that we provide our people, how we treat and dispose of wastewater in an environmentally sensitive manner, et cetera. But you know, those are just examples of things that we're trying to do. Let's see, committee reports. You know, Jody continues to work with her Parks and Rec Advisory Committee, also the Promotion, Special Events and Tourism, or PSEC Committee. They've had a new postcard initiative, the new business and wayfinding signage that they're going to take over. So this is just a snapshot of all the programs that they are offering. I'm not going to go through these, but you can see and understand all the things that are going on over in Parks and Rec. Their fall calendar for recurring recreational opportunities. These are images of those postcards, very attractive. You know, Surf City utilizing the tourism slogan, Surf City, your hometown beach. And we sent a postcard to Surf City, New Jersey, and we got a return postcard back. So, you know, we've created that bond with them, because we certainly have a bond with their residents when they call Surf City, North Carolina, asking about something. Just real quick, Christmas tree lighting coming up November 18th, so that's always a fun event for everybody to kick off the holiday season. Moving on to the police department. So they've got a goodie bag for upcoming trick-or-treating. Anybody can come to the police department and get those bags with, you know, they got a flashlight and glow-in-the-dark sticks, some candy and crayons and coloring books and things of that nature. So if you got young ones or want to get that message out, they can come here. This is just a picture of, looks like Chief working on some military recruiting as well over there. But just a good opportunity for the community to be involved with our police department. They held community policing, but we're over in the lunch with the law over at the elementary and middle school, which was a success, where Chief is bringing some of his officers over there to just sit down with the kids and just have lunch. So you know, another good program that they are running with. And then, of course, the 9/11 Memorial Walk that they participate in with our fire department, who hosts that. Roadside roll call, they were in Saltwater Landing. So, again, just good turnouts for these community policing events that we appreciate. And then, you know, the No Shave November, which really is a tactic to get some funds for the Shop with a Cop that Chief gave a presentation on at your last council meeting. As of yesterday, I submitted my funds to the police department, so would hope that you're able to do the same thing. And whether or not you grow a beard or whatever you feel like doing, I think it's a good effort that we can all participate in. And then on Saturday, they've got the Fishing with the Fuzz. This is a reschedule of the rained out event. So, you know, hopefully they'll have a good turnout for that come Saturday. I heard they're biting over there, and it's just a good opportunity to you know, kind of show them up with your fishing skills. Public utilities, this is a comprehensive overview of all of our projects. Really the big ones are, digester project, permits have been received, so we're getting ready to bid that out. Well 6, Sebaqueous Crossing, and the North Shore Pipeline project. So between those three elements, that is a three-phase project. Well 6 is completed. That's the one that was installed off of 50. Phase 2 for the Sebaqueous Crossing will begin in early of next year. And then Phase 3 is currently being designed. And as a reminder, that Phase 3 is a full water line replacement along North Shore. And in coordination with that project, the town's going to try to take advantage of the disturbance that they're going to have to do within the right-of-way, and allow that contractor to grade that right-of-way out, and then us come back with our multi-use path. So that'll just be a construction cost to the town only. So really excited about getting that project underway and having some dual use between utilities and pedestrian infrastructure. Low flow discharge permit. So this was part of the state's budget, the legislation that was passed. So we've done an internal analysis on the potential benefit, and we're working on a permit application to be submitted. DEQ has a 60-day requirement to create temporary rules on that. We will have that application in hopefully on day 61 or very shortly thereafter, but shooting for day 61 so we can get in the queue and utilize the Juniper Swamp property to take advantage of this new legislation. Again, high rate infiltration, again, have challenges in communication with DEQ. This is not anything new. Discharge master plan. We received the spec limits from DEQ. The limits are stricter than what we expected. However, we're going to continue to focus efforts on the low flow discharge in hopes that that's what's going to really take precedence over the discharge or master plan. However, we'll continue to work on both of those projects. Subsurface irrigation permits have been acquired, and project is in the bid phase. I believe next week we have a bid opening here in Town Hall. I think it's on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken, Price. So that's looking at the site over at Sarge Martin, and then moving on to Phase 2 in conjunction with the Phase 2 of the park project. And some of the lands over there, we have a hydrogeologist that's currently determining potential yield for effluent disposal on that property as well. So got a couple exciting projects on sewer that we're really looking forward to, but also on the water side with Well 6 and the resilience project of Sebaqueous and the North Shore pipe replacement. So not a lack of things going on in town, as you all know. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to present this quarterly to the board and those in attendance and listening online. And with that, that's my departmental report.
Thank you. Street sweep is tomorrow, correct?
Yes, tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, Soundside Park. Chris will be working with our wonderful beautification and enhancement committee to sponsor that street sweep. So if you have the opportunity to get out there and pick up trash, please do. From the driving through, the town always seemingly looks good. However, you start walking on the sidewalks and you start to see all the little things that get blown into the bushes and in the cracks and all the other areas that requires the extra effort, and we appreciate the community's support on that.
Well, thank you for your update. It's always very thorough, and it is great to see that each department is extremely busy with being productive, not just they're moving forward with different activities and just taking care of our town, so it is very much appreciated. So at this time, if there is nothing else, can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
For a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned.